Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Orientalism Revisited, tracing its enduring influence on Islamic studies research. This is the topic which has been given to me. At the outset, I would like to make some clarifications or kind of sort of working definitions of the terms coming in the title. First of all, we are in this summit titled Islamic Studies in India, Revisiting and Reorienting. If you come to the title given to me, the main thing, the important point here is Orientalism. So, before starting, I would like to make clear what actually I mean by Orientalism, or more clearly, which aspect of Orientalism I would like to stress or focus in this particular presentation. I just read out some parts first, then I will elaborate on some points. Orientalism, as I take it in this paper, in this presentation, I take it as a self-conscious scholarly discipline, began to emerge in the 18th century as one stream of Enlightenment thought. This is my focus or thrust in this presentation, because I read beginning as a field based on the study of original texts in Asian languages requiring a rigorous specialized training. Orientalism flourished in Western scholarship from the 18th century to well into the 20th century. Through the critical philological study of cultural texts of Asian civilizations, it sought to uncover their allegedly essential features. Orientalism was not only a scholarly discipline deriving from European Enlightenment thought. It's important that it derives from the European Enlightenment thought. Enlightenment thought, as you know, it's a kind of a continuation of the Renaissance, which actually began in the Europe. So it's an offshoot, or you can say it's a kind of manifestation of this European Enlightenment thought. Orientalism was not only a scholarly discipline deriving from European Enlightenment thought, but also an expression of the romantic exoticizing impulse of 19th century European culture. This is actually when the term Orientalism is mentioned. The first picture or the general thing which come into our mind is first and foremost this thing, an expression of the romantic exoticizing impulse of a 19th century European culture, which through its representation of other cultures, permitted the exploration of other worlds, notably in art, literature, and music. This is the general conception of Orientalism. Here, we are not concerned with Orientalism in this broader cultural sense. I come into my focus. Orientalism acquired a third meaning following 20th century movements of decolonization. This is the one of the main thrusts of my talk today here. Orientalism acquired a third meaning following 20th century movements of decolonization, when some scholars argued that the scholarly discipline of Orientalism could not be understood apart from the circumstances of its production. This is very important when it comes to modern Orientalism, particularly, as you know, the scholars like Lord K. and Wali Hussein, who have been considered to be the inaugurators or founders of modern Orientalism. The scholarly discipline of Orientalism could not be understood apart from the circumstances of its production, namely Western imperialism. So this aspect of power is very important in understanding Orientalism as a scholarly discipline. This is the, as I told, one of the focuses, one of the main thrusts of my presentation today. Apart from this, I would like to elaborate some other areas which is connected with my area of study, which is actually Islamic intellectual history, or I would like to talk more on this epistemological dimension of the recurring, the enduring influence of Orientalism on the current Islamic studies research. So these two aspects I would like to talk more on today. So one cannot okay, I leave it there. So this is as Dr. Tausif have told, very Islamic studies as a discipline is a very highly contested field as to its even as to its origins, definitions, and methodology. This is a very contested field. This thing we have to keep in mind in the beginning. There are questions as to how Islamic studies you might have heard of, or what is Islamic in Islamic studies. These kinds of questions are interesting. Questions are there at the outset. So when it comes to the question of Islamic studies, as Dr. Tausif have clearly categorized its historical stages and various developments. We related to my topic, I have to say more on the current state of Islamic studies. So when it comes to the current state of Islamic studies, I would like to introduce or a concept or Dr. Sherman Jackson, you might have heard of, a scholar of Islamic law and society. In his latest work, The Islamic Secular, he, in its introductory part, he's asking the question of Islamic, and what does it mean actually when it comes to Islamic studies. And he quotes, mentions a debate which took place among some scholars of Islamic studies, namely Professor Aaron Hooks and Professor Omid Safi, two scholars of Islamic studies. Aaron Hughes alleges that the scholars or Muslim scholars like Omid Safi make Islamic studies or make the scholarship they have produced or they have been producing is a kind of bad scholarship, or it's not an objective kind of scholarship. The same thing, the same debate, Professor Salman Said mentions in one of his unpublished articles, which is coming in his forthcoming book on the philosophy of Islamism. He also mentions this debate between Aaron Hughes and Omid Sabi. The crux of the debate is what I have just mentioned. So the focus, the point here is that in the article by Salman Said, the title of the article of Salman Said is "I Want My Discipline Back." I'm coming to another important point regarding the current status of Islamic studies and the epistemological foundations of Islamic studies as a product of Orientalism, or the evidences of the enduring influence of Orientalism in Islamic studies as a scholarly discipline. So I don't know how many of you got the point in that title. I want my discipline back. This is something in the U.S. election in which Obama contested for the presidency. He was some white supremacist groups in U.S. They were raising this slogan that we want our country back. Yeah, I think you get the point there. Someone like Obama, who has a black background, has no right to conduct in the presidential election, and we, the white people, are the real inheritors or the real owners of United States of America. So we want our country back. That was the slogan. So Salman says, take this. I want my discipline back from that slogan. Meaning, the scholars like Aaron Hughes have this same kind of sentiments regarding the objectivity or the real the good scholarship. They have this conception of the objectivity. What is objective is what is secular, or what the Western scholars, or the scholars of Western origin, and the scholars who propagate the Western secular, liberal kind of values, has only the right to be objective, and the scholarship produced by them is the only real scholarship. So this hegemony of the secular is also there. As I told, from the Renaissance to the Enlightenment to Revolution to the 20th century, the Orientalism have always carried this, as in the inaugural talk brother mentioned, the godless civilization of West, or the kind of the godlessness in scholarship, or at least as if God does not exist. At least we can say as if God does not exist. So this hegemony of the secular is what rules, what reigns in the current scenario of Islamic studies. This is a very important point regarding when we take into account, or the 2 points, the colonialism, the imperialism, Western imperialism, and the resulting epistemological Orientalism, as while Halak states in his work Restating Orientalism, he states that the epistemological Orientalism is the direct result of this colonial imperialism. These things are to be taken seriously when we examine the enduring influences of Orientalism in the current scenario of Islamic studies. To cite some examples, maybe you may be familiar with some of these debates, the debate between Awamir Anjum and Mustafa Akyol regarding the status of Quran, Hadith, and the foundational texts, how one can approach as a scholar these texts. You may watch that debate in YouTube, the debate between Dr. Amir Anjum and Mustafa Akyol. Here we can very clearly see that the liberal biases of Dr. Mustafa Akyol and what Dr. Amir Anjum had to say in response to his arguments regarding the status of Quranic verses and hadith and the like. Another example of this debate or this recurring or this enduring epistemological influences in Islamic studies is a debate between Suhaira Siddiqui, kind of not debate, but Suhaira Siddiqui is responding to an article by Aisha Chowdhury in one article titled "Good Scholarship, Bad Scholarship," and there is a subtitle to that. In that article, Suhaira Siddiqui examines some arguments by Aisha Chowdhury, in which Dr. Chowdhury states that the current Islamic studies is either white supremacist Islamic studies or patriarchal Islamic studies. She includes almost every scholars in Islamic studies, including Shaman Jackson and likes of scholars, in any one of these two categories. Either it's white supremacist Islamic studies or it's patriarchal Islamic studies. And the alternative Dr. Chowdhury proposing is as intersectional Islamic studies. So when you go through the arguments of Dr. Aisha Chowdhury and Dr. Suhaira Siddiqui's response to it, you can very clearly see the hegemony of the secular, or we can say in what Talal Asad in his important the now classic work Formations of the Secular states as the basic three foundations of the secularism, the secular liberal world. In that he says three main things. I would like to elaborate something on that, giving some examples from the current field of Islamic studies. One of the things that Asad find as the foundation of this the hegemony, the secular hegemony, is the Renaissance doctrine of humanism. As you know, humanism is a Renaissance doctrine, and here human is the sole criteria of everything. This should be differentiated from the Islamic anthropocentrism as we understand that. Humanism is totally different kind of thing. This focus, if you study the works produced in Islamic studies these days, this the thrust on humanism, you can find one important aspect. The second thing is that enlightenment concept of nature. Enlightenment concept of nature is another foundation of the enlightenment project from which Orientalism takes its resources. So nature as the soul. You may be knowing the famous debates between the nature and culture debate in social sciences and other disciplines. So Islam as a faith, as a tradition, has an important give equal importance to the aspect of culture also. But the focus of this current enlightenment epistemology is that nature. This we can see manifested in debates relating to the gender theory, the queer theory, or the LGBTQ kinds of things, and the related discussions, debates, and scholarly works have been in great number nowadays, as we know, the LGBTQ issue and LGBTQ and Islam, and how some scholars find the evidence of LGBTQ and such things in foundational texts like Quran, Hadith. So what I'm saying is this enlightenment concept of nature comes at the center of such conceptions of the criteria or the justification some scholars in Islamic studies find in it. The third one is Hegel's philosophy of history. This is also a very foundational thing in this Orientalist epistemology, the historicism, or how one can understand or study a particular tradition depends upon its historicity or kind of linearity, kind of continuity. A tradition, a faith tradition like Islam, really cannot be studied in such a paradigm, historicist, purely historicist paradigms. So this is also something foundational in this epistemology of Orientalism. Another discussion, important debate regarding this that's also connected to the point I just mentioned. And it's also one of the most affected, I would say, areas of Islamic studies today, gender studies. How this, there is an article written by Shuruk Najib titled The Epistemic Politics of Gender. In that article, Shuruk Najib traces the history of this, the current gender theory, and how it intervenes in the fields like Islamic studies, and its trajectory from the biology to the sociology and to the formation of gender theory, and how it affects the studies related to gender in traditions like Islam. That's an important article regarding this topic. The same kind of thing we can see in a debate between Keshia Ali and Sherman Jackson. Keshia Ali, like Aisha Chaudhary I mentioned earlier, alleges or says that the prevailing studies in Islamic studies are male-oriented, patriarchal kind of studies, regardless any scholars. So Sherman Jackson has written a response to that also. There also you can find this dominance or kind of hegemony of the liberal secular values when it comes to Islamic studies and the criteria by which the objectivity of the study of the kind of scholarship produced is measured. So this is a very, very important thing. And uh, as I mentioned earlier, Dr. Sherman Jackson introduces a new phase of Islamic studies, that is Islamic Studies 2.0. It builds upon Islamic 1.0, by which he means the textual, philological works done by the 20th century Orientalist. But the importance, the speciality of or the distinctiveness of this Islamic Studies 2.0 version is that it's a kind of the confessional nature of that studies. The work of Sherman Jackson himself is one in that group, Islamic Studies 2.0. But what is normative in Islamic? That is the question of such works. So he says that there is an evolution in the discipline from Islamic Studies 1.0 to Islamic Studies 2.0. Here again, the very title of Sherman Jackson's work, the Islamic secular, that comes the point which I mentioned in the beginning, the hegemony of the secular. Why a scholar like Sherman Jackson felt it important to write such a book, the Islamic secular? We may sense a kind of oxymoron in the very title. But why a scholar like Sherman Jackson found it compelling to write a work like that is because of the reason I stated earlier. The current hegemony of the secular in the secular kind of liberal kind of values in the scholarship or the study of Islam as a faith tradition or Islamic studies as a discipline. He examines the works of some important scholars like Andrew Marsh, Abdullahi Naim, and Wahid Halak in this regard, and examines how this the religionization of Islam and regulation of the religious by the governing of the religious by the secular underlies all these works. Andrew Marsh's work it's liberalism, and when it comes to Abdullahi Naim, it's secularism, and when it comes to Halak, it's something different. He's some different kind of his study of the Islam and Islamic society. Sherman Jackson is criticized. So this focus is very much important, and we have to keep in mind when we approach the field of Islamic studies today. Again, the religionization of Islam is a very important thing. As we know, these binaries, this is also, these kinds of binaries also very apparent in the Islamic studies today. Religious, secular, Sufi, Salafi, political, quietist, these kinds of binaries, and some sort of favoritism which have been shown to the secular and the moderate as against extremists, and the quietists as against the political kind of thing. This you can see very clearly in the scholarships, in the works produced in Islamic studies today. And one of the things I just want to mention that the result of such an epistemological onslaught or the hegemony of the secular is that a historian, the very concept of history or the very philosophy of history, the historiography, cannot be, we cannot, or a Muslim scholar, a Muslim historian cannot produce a work based on the Ibn Kathirian or Mas'ulian or even Ibn Khaldian line of philosophy of history. So it has become impossible in the current scenario of Islamic studies. That is the thing I want to mention. One final thing I would end my talk with that, which is related to India, meaning how this Orientalist epistemology have created hurdles in front of we as scholars and students of Islamic studies in India, in studying India as a society, the Islam in India and its different manifestations. This I quote from one of Talal Asad's article to bring this point home. I quote, how the concept of Hinduism and Hindu are rooted in a familiar Orientalist narrative and how they are being put to new political use by right-wing nationalists. This is a piece I take from Talal Asad's article. How the concept of Hinduism and Hindu are rooted in a familiar Orientalist narrative and how they are being put to new political use by right-wing nationalists. This is a very important point, I think, for we students and scholars of Islamic studies in India today, because this is a field which has much scope and much help. We need to do much in this area regarding what is India, what is Indian, what is Indic, and how Orientalists define this reality of the India and how they define Islam and what impact that makes in studying Islam in India and the things related to that. I would like to end my talk here. Thank you very much.